This episode of Around the Layout is brought to you by Rapido Trains.
Buying Rapido trains will make you happy.
Haven't you heard? Rapido Trains has announced a U-boat load of General Electric U-Series locomotives, U-25Bs, U-30CGs, U-33Cs, and U-36Cs, and the U-34CH. You can check out all of these new releases and much more on their website, rapidotrains.com. Did the snow keep you from getting to the Railroad Hobby Show? No worries. Spring Creek Model Trains has you covered. Right now, ATLP listeners can take 5% off in-stock, regularly priced Rapido Trains products on their website through May 31st. Use code ATLPSPRING26 at checkout at springcreekmodeltrains.com. ATLP Extra is our monthly newsletter delivered right to your inbox each month. Sign up for free at atlpextra.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Around the Layout, where model railroaders come to tell their story. My name is Ray Arnott, so glad you could join us. We're almost 2 weeks removed from the 2026 Railroad Hobby Show in West Springfield, Massachusetts, and this year's event is one that won't soon be forgotten. It was a very busy Saturday at the show, with most show attendees trying to jam in 2 days of browsing and buying into one, knowing we were staring down a huge winter storm for Sunday. While some packed up early, we stayed for Sunday, and we were pleasantly surprised to see a steady flow of attendees brave the weather in the morning. It also allowed many of the exhibitors to talk, and I was able to get the mic in front of a few before the snow really piled up. Those that I didn't get a chance to chat with joined me back here in the ATLP studio to share their take on this year's event. So here's our coverage of the Amherst Railway Society's 2026 Railroad Hobby Show. Here we go. Well, we're here on a very odd day 2 of the Railroad Hobby Show, and I'm here with Rapido Trains' Jordan Smith, and a lot of room for activities right now in the buildings, but we're here and we're toughing it out.
Yes, we are. We got a lot of room with around the booth here because some of the clubs packed up, getting ready for this interesting weather we're about to get, but we got lots to talk about here. We got lots of new announcements. Exciting new announcements if you like big GE locomotives, and many other things too. So lots to go over.
I think what I heard from a lot of the announcements was U.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of U's. Maybe you too could have come and performed and done something with us here, but now a lot of U starts to the announcements. Tell us a bit about them.
Yeah, so today's theme, or this week's theme, is universal locomotives, as in General Electric's universal series of diesels. We've got actually 4 different General Electric U-Series 6-axle locomotives we've announced this week. The first off being the New Jersey Transit U-34CH. These were commuter units. I believe they were originally purchased by the Erie-Lackawanna in the late 60s, early 70s, and they lasted for quite a long time. They went into New Jersey Transit service, and we're doing a number of paint schemes, either NJT or Conrail, for these locomotives. There's a Conrail Bicentennial, which is really cool. But they were a head-end power-equipped locomotive, so they were originally 3,600 horsepower. They were kind of kicked down to 3,400 horsepower because the HEP was geared right to the prime mover. And they were in service for about 20, 25, 30 years, something like that. Bobby would probably know if he was here. He could tell me all the correct dates, but very cool, much requested for commuter locomotive. Brand new tooling pretty much from the ground up. It's kind of an extension of our C30 and C36-7s that we've previously done. So we've got the U-34CH, we've got the big freight announcements, the U-33C and the U-36C. So these were GE's big heavy haul locomotives of the late 60s, early 70s. They were produced until the Dash 7 series came along in the late 70s, and no two are alike. So if you actually look at them, there's like 18 different phase variations depending on what road number, what road name, and what year they were built. So we've got lots of big names. We've got like Northern Pacific, we've got Santa Fe, we've got multiple styles of Southern Pacific for different eras and different phase variations, and a whole bunch of other ones. I can't even remember. We've got Burlington Northern. There's a very long list of U-33Cs and U-36Cs. And on top of that, we've got probably the most exciting announcement we've got this week is another U-boat, It's the U30CG. So this was a very small fleet of custom-built Santa Fe passenger locomotives. They were constructed in 1967. They were equipped with steam generators for passenger service, unlike the U34CH with their head-end power generators. And they were used on pretty much all of Santa Fe's big-name trains, the Super Chief. They used them on the Grand Canyon. They used them on some of the, just kind of pretty much all over the Santa Fe system. Now, they didn't last very long in passenger service. They kind of fell out of favor pretty quickly. There was a couple of derailments that happened in 1969, thereabouts, and they were pretty quickly switched over to freight service. And they ended up in freight service for the rest of their careers, pretty much with the creation of Amtrak. They had their steam generator equipment removed, and they lasted until 1980 when they were finally pulled. But they're very iconic because, unlike the earlier U28CGs, these were built with a full cowl car body with fluted sides to kind of match with all the Bud equipment and Pullman Standard equipment that Santa Fe was running on their passenger trains. So they were very, very iconic. This very cool rounded nose. I don't think anything else like that was ever built by GE. It was kind of just a one-off locomotive. And on top of that, we've got several different paint schemes. We've got the kind of classic Santa Fe red and silver war bonnet. But we also have several freight schemes as well. We've got the Santa Fe bookend scheme as they were first repainted in the early 70s. We've got two versions of the yellow war bonnet, either with the outlined cigar band logo or the filled-in cigar band logo, the smaller one when they were modified in the late 70s. And even cooler, we have some faded and chipped versions. So by the late 70s, the yellow war bonnet paint was just kind of falling apart. You could see the red war bonnet just kind of emerging from underneath the yellow paint. So we've done a couple of versions of that as well. If you're modeling right at the end of their lives in like 1978, 1979, 1980. So that's the big new announcements in terms of GE U-boats. But we also have an additional U-boat that we previously announced, the U25B. We're relaunching that locomotive with a number of new paint schemes and that we hadn't included originally. So we did the original, or the second run of U25Bs. We announced with some big names like Rock Island, L&N, Southern Pacific, and a few others. We're adding some new ones. We've got a new version of SP. This is the 1965 renumbering with the nose numbering. We've also got a new version of Rock Island U25s without the frog lights on the roof. We've got one unit, Great Northern Big Sky Blue. And I believe we've got, I've almost forgot, we've got New York Central, which was much requested. We didn't do them in the first or second run, and we decided, well, let's throw them into the second run now with the relaunch. And these are all going to be coming probably late this year. That's got a deadline coming up at the end of middle of March, I believe. So we'll get those along. And they've been retooled. So since it's our first run, we've retooled the railings, we've retooled the long hood, to be a little more accurate in terms of the contours and many other features, new lighting features. So they're really cool if you're modeling pretty much anywhere in the U.S. from the 60s, 70s, 80s, even the early 90s. We've got a CSX patch it, which is really cool. So big news in terms of U-boats.
Well, yeah, and I was going to say, and with all of the range of eras, of course, the road names that you're covering, you've got several different U models all mixed in there. Boy, if there's not something for you, I don't know how to help you. This is a lot of great stuff, but no, this is phenomenal. And again, being able to provide so much variety, and what amazes me, even just the information you have and the research. When do you find time to sleep?
Well, the nice thing is we have a big team. Jeff is handling most of the U-boats. Dan Darnell is taking care of the U30CG, and we all kind of help out. It's a team effort, so. It's a lot of work, but it's fun, and we like to provide as many options as we can for as many modelers as we can.
Well, awesome stuff. Well, we just talked about locomotives. Now let's talk a little bit about rolling stock, because, can't run engine light. We got to have something behind them.
Exactly. We actually have a brand new modern freight car we've just announced. This is the Trinity 6221 or 6241 cubic foot plastic pellet hopper. This is a car that's never been made before in HO scale, probably because it's very plain. Most of them are just gray with a reporting mark and a road number. There's also a tan version, I believe. But what we've done is we've done a whole group of different reporting marks, either representing the 90s, 2000s, or right up to today. And there's tens of thousands of these cars on the road. They are a must-have. You don't see just like one or two. You can see these in big unit trains of plastic pellets moving around the country. And they go absolutely everywhere. It's a modern car. It's a large car. which is very typical of like a big plastic pellet hopper, and it's just never been done before. So it's a really cool freight car. We think it's going to be huge, and it's very boring, but it's just an everyday, very common car that you're going to need for your layout.
Well, I'm going to counter that boring. I want to take maybe out of the Lance Minheim manual and call it the negative space of your train, so that when you have those, not so loud cars, those Berlin Mills cars start to stick out a little bit more, don't they?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So awesome. So great selection of rolling stock. We're still here. Railroad Hobby Show, second day. Snow, who cares? We're going to be here all day. We're going to hang out with each other. We'll maybe go out and build snowmen and play in the snow a little bit afterwards. But hey, we're here for the long haul, and amazing selection here from Rapido. Definitely check them out. Where can we find more about Rapido trains?
Oh, pretty much anywhere. RapidoTrains.com or to RapidoTrains.ca if you're in Canada. We've got our newsletter we send out a couple times a month. We've got Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're pretty much all over the place now, so you can find us anywhere.
Awesome stuff, Jordan. Thank you so much for joining me here at the Railroad Hobby Show.
Great talking to you.
Well, I'm standing looking at an amazing wall of about every detail you could imagine. Must mean I'm standing next to Chris Wallace from Wallace Locomotive Works. Chris, good to see you here at the Railroad Hobby Show.
Good to see you. Thank you for coming by.
Well, it's great to be here. Day 2 of the Railroad Hobby Show. We got a little bit of extra elbow room, and it's a little quiet, but it gives us a chance to talk a little bit about Wallace Locomotive Works. And I'd say by the looks of the amount of inventory you have here, you've been quite busy, my friend.
Yeah, I have been pretty busy. There's been a lot of work this year to set up since the last show. A lot of stuff that people are looking for that I found from the last show here last year. I started last year with only about, I'd say 190 products, and we're over about 500 now. Everything just keeps getting added on, and there's a lot of new stuff that people are asking me for, and I brought it this year, and they're like, hey, do you have this year? Yes, I do.
I know that that's one of the things that happens at these train shows. You got so many amazing folks coming up with either information or requests or maybe things you haven't thought of. How do you sort all that out and get it to the point where, okay, I'm going to produce this. This is something that I've heard enough about that I'm going to actually do it.
So pretty much what happens is I write down a list as people say stuff to me, and then I take that list back after I unwind from the show, and I start looking at what needs to be done, what's easier, what's not, what's going to take long times to design, and then I put it all together, and then I see what's going to be the best. And then some stuff doesn't work, some stuff needs more time. Maybe it's stuff that I also need too for my project, so then I expedite that a little bit more, and then I bring it out there. I reach out to these people because they do give me their names and stuff like that in case I need to, for references that they might have. And that's just the easiest way of doing it, because then they come back here and they're like, hey, I need 10 more of these, I need 15 more of these, and I know to bring a little bit extra stuff to that than other stuff that I've brought in the past.
Yeah, and what I love about it, and this is things we talk about, and we talk about the golden era of model railroading, where 3D printing and your ability to design and produce this product is, there's really not a whole lot you can't get to get these locomotives right down to that uber super detail. I mean, I don't even think the word super detail is even, like, it's got to be a level above super detailing now.
Yes, yeah, and the good thing about this, there's no molds, there's no tooling involved, so pretty much any item you have here can be remodified to be changed for somebody else. For example, I have a headlight, the 075, which is just a generic headlight, and I changed it over to make the FEC 3-beam headlight by just adding one extra piece and extending the product. So I'm able to just change one thing to make another, and if somebody wants, hey, I need this thing, but it's not made for what you have, I can just make a quick modification, reprint it, and have a whole new product. So there's so many different changes you can do now with 3D printing that doesn't involve, millions of dollars worth of tooling just for one thing, and you can't change it.
So how's the list looking for coming out of this show for next year? Have you run out of paper over there yet?
Yeah, after the way yesterday was, there's a few on my radar that I can't believe I forgot to do. And I'm like, looking at this, like, this would have been such a great item to have this year. But the list is pretty long. I was looking at it in the hotel last night, and I'm sure with the snow today and everything like that, I'll have more ideas as I'm sitting around and getting ideas of what to do next once we unwind from all this.
That's for sure. Well, we'll have some plenty of time today to do some unwinding, do some talking, get to meet some new folks, and then be able to peruse. And you're still here. You're toughing it out. We're fortunate to have this show, and we're already here. So why not make the most of it, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's just a little bit of snow, right? I mean, it's just snow at this point. We're here. It's just a good time to just enjoy the show. This is a great time every year, thanks to John and everything they do. So I'm just happy to be here. If there's not a lot of people, it's not a lot of people. If there is, there is. It's just a good time.
Well, I think we flipped the switch from train show to trade show, and we get to be able to hang out with each other. Tell us where we can find more about Wallace Locomotive Works.
You can follow us on wallacelocoworks.com, social medias as well. If not, you can email me through my website. There's also a link to that. That's the best way I could say to get a hold of me is through email. With my schedule, sometimes it gets a little tough to get a hold of me, but I generally get through there with 1 to 2 days, unless it goes to spam. Then I say email me back, and try again.
Awesome. Well, all the awesome stuff happening with the cottage industry of model railroading, and you're a part of that. Chris Wallace, Wallace Locomotive Works, thank you so much for hanging out.
Again, thank you for having me, and thank you for stopping by, and look forward to another show next year and what this year has in store.
Well, I got 2 visitors over here to the Around the Layout podcast booth, and familiar names to the podcast. We got Mike Zucker.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
And Jeff Zucker.
Hi again, everybody.
You know what? It goes par for the course. What a wacky railroad hobby show it's been. Yeah. We had a what I thought was, you guys felt yesterday a pretty busy day.
It was super busy today. Everybody came out to beat the weather here on Sunday, so about once everybody got through the doors, man, every building was just jam-packed, which is awesome to see. Everybody's really loving the hobby. So.
Yeah, the hobby's booming right now. It's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we're standing in what I call the SEMA of model railroading. And, when you have an opportunity like this, where we only get 2 days a year to be at the SEMA of model railroading. And of course, you guys are all set up anyway. Where are you going to go? And this is old hat for folks from Nebraska to have a little bit of snow.
Yep.
Probably laughing at us New Englanders getting all panicky.
No, we are not doing that.
We're not laughing.
We're just joining into the weather with you guys. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's fine right now inside. It's a little tough to get in between buildings. You got to throw the hoodie on and move quick because the snow's coming down pretty good. But we're here inside warm and experiencing the awesomeness that is the Railroad Hobby Show here in West Springfield, Massachusetts. We had some people pack up, but there's quite a few people. I mean, if you even just take what removed, we still have a huge train show here.
Oh, yeah, it's huge, right? It doesn't compare to what it was yesterday, but it's a gigantic show. This is awesome. John and the team with the Amherst Historical Society is just amazing what they put on here. Like you said, the SEMA of the model train industry, so it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, well, this is a show where you folks at Spring Creek Model Trains come to sell. Yep. But tell me, Jeff, did you buy anything?
Oh yeah. I found some homemade trees, and I bought a DVD so far. I'm out looking for more stuff today, so we'll see what we find.
3D printed stuff. Yeah, we found a ton of 3D printed stuff today, so it's been fun to see that. All the talent that's out there in the 3D printing world, it's amazing what you can add to your layout details.
Yeah, and that's what's really kind of cool about this. I mean, we got so many cottage industries in the business as well, and when they make the trek to Amherst and be able to show the product and get to see it. We see it online, but there's something tangible where you got to see it and see their product, and then you get to talk to these people and hear their passion behind their projects. It makes it even more enjoyable, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. It's really fun to see somebody's passion come to fruition and what they enjoy and bringing to the hobby. It's pretty amazing. So it's not just the big manufacturers. There's all kinds of people doing things in their garage, so to speak, and it's awesome to see that stuff.
Yeah, that's what's neat. You can walk by a major manufacturer, and then next thing you know, it's 1 or 2 person operation, and then and everybody seems to be here when it comes to major manufacturers, and amazing just how much has been covered here in so many different facets of the hobby. Just not only just we talk about modeling, but the prototype as well. I mean, just so much to see.
Yeah, so much to see. It's fun. You get to drive around and get to see some different folks you see around on YouTube, right there walking the show. You get to see that. You get to see the CSX as you're driving around West Springfield, right? Checking that out. doing the prototype, the DVDs like you talked about, being the prototype, the freelance stuff. I don't know. My mind always gets blown every time I come here, right? To see something new. This is like my 5th or 6th year being here, and
there's always something
new.
Yeah.
So what's your plan for the rest of the trip here?
Well, we'll see how the weather goes, but we'll probably be spending a day in our Airbnb tomorrow working remotely and then flying out of here. But today we're going to try to keep on selling. We want people to come out if you're around and just enjoy the hobby.
Yep. And then our trailer's off to 2 more shows after this before it makes a trip back to Deschler. So stopping in Timonium next weekend, and then the weekend after that we're in Indianapolis for a show. And Jeff and I will get back home and pack up for another double weekend. So we're going down to Wichita. So
Well, you got back on the road again with Spring Creek Model Trains. So awesome that you guys were able to stop by the booth, take a little bit of time in your perusing of all the things that are here at the Railroad Hobby Show. So Jeff, Mike, thank you so much for stopping by.
Yep. Thanks,
Thank you, Ray.
Well, one of the folks that was over in the Stroh building that I was able to get a quick look at, but I didn't get a chance to spend a whole lot of time with. So catching up here after the show with is Alex Hoffner from ABR Model Works. Alex, good to see you back in, at least inside, and hopefully where it's warm and maybe not snowing so much.
Yeah, it's great to be inside in the warmth. Kind of, I'm sitting down here recording in my garage I got the heat running, but yeah, good to be away from the 24 inches of snow that we got up in Massachusetts.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy Railroad Hobby Show, but I mean, Saturday was really booming. Talk about some of the stuff that you were able to announce while there was a lot of folks there.
Yeah, Saturday was, it was crazy. We announced a lot of new things. We announced 2 new 3D packs, our Street Details 1 pack, along with our Park Details 1 pack, which has a slew of brand new 3D individual items. And just to save some time, I won't announce all of them. But if you go over to our website, abrmodelworks.com, you can see all of the new 3D parts that were announced that are in those. I also announced the track bumpers that we have, one of our most popular items. So I announced those as new pre-painted options. So those of you who don't want to spend the time to cut off the sprues or paint them or anything, I've done all the work for you for that. So I announced those in industrial yellow and brown. And then I also announced bridge shoes. Bridge shoes in an 8 set of packs. So yeah, no more having to deal with the white metal cast ones where you have to trim and shave and everything. They're all good to go.
Awesome stuff. And yeah, I wish I got to spend a little more time with you over there. And then I went over and I couldn't catch you Sunday morning. I think it, really turned in. I'm going to say it probably 100 times over, but Saturday was the train show. And then Sunday became the trade show where a lot of people were kind of going around seeing each other and the vendors. But the challenge of that is that everybody kind of had the same idea. So everybody was going to everybody else's empty booth for a little while.
It was, Saturday was really crazy. We had a great time Saturday. I believe we set a sales record for Saturday of our most sales made in an individual day at a show. So that was really, really great, and meeting all the people. And then, like you're saying, Sunday was for the manufacturers or the vendors to go and mingle amongst themselves. And so I was able to make some great connections there, picked up a couple more retailers that might be interested in carrying our products. It was a successful trip overall, I would say. Getting to meet all the new customers and then getting to meet all the, make connections with all the manufacturers as well.
One of the things that I like to talk about on the podcast is being at the foot of the customer and learning so much from them as they come up and see your products and then you get feedback. Were there any big takeaways for you from the show?
It always surprises me how much demand there is for the N scale folks, those who really want those really, really small detailed parts that, I'm an HO scale modeler. And so I'm like, okay, I take a look at N and I'm like, man, this is really, really tiny. I can't believe people want a demand for this. But, there are some months where my N scale orders, they're just so much more than the HO orders. And I had several people come up to me and be like, you have an N scale shelf? You have an N scale shelf? I'm like, yeah, it's right down there at the end. We have a little bit there. And so it's always surprising to see how much of a demand there is for the N scale items. And there were several people who were suggesting that I bring some of the HO stuff over to N. And I always tell them it's in the plan. If it'll print in N scale, all of the stuff we have in HO scale will eventually be into N. And there were, funny enough, there were a couple people who were able to successfully guess what my next N scale releases are, which is always funny.
Awesome. Well, it seems like N scale's on quite an uptick lately, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's on the up and up. Last year, we attended the National N Scale Convention down in Kansas City for the first time, and I guess I didn't realize just the amount of technological advances that N scale has made over the past even like 5 years. It's just the amount of detail and the amount of the electronics that it can fit in these N scale engines now. It's just, I mean, it blew my mind.
Outside of obviously your product releases, was there anything about the Amherst show that really stuck out to you when you started to get around and see others?
It's really a tight-knit community that's in the model railroading industry. I mean, everybody knows each other. And, I came to learn that there's anchor tables, if that's what you want to call it, anchor vendors that are always in the same place every year. And everyone kind of knows their neighbors, and, it gets chatting amongst them. And I guess I really didn't realize how well connected everyone is and how tight-knit of an industry that we really have here.
Yeah, it's really, and that's kind of the cool part about Amherst. Of course, we have all the amazing products and everything else, but the family reunion, right, where we get to see each other, including you and I, we see each other like we're seeing each other right now through the screen, but to be able to see each other in person and shake a hand and then share information face to face is really powerful.
Yeah, it's that tight-knit sense of community that I really appreciate, because everyone knows each other by name. And there was, I brought along another worker with me. I flew him in from Iowa, and he had the chance. I gave him the chance to wander around, and George Bogatok from Soundtracks, he happened to meet him passing ways, and they've only met like maybe once or twice down in St. Louis. And George instantly knew him. He's like, "Hey Jerry, how's it going? Nice to see you." And it just reinforced that, such a tight-knit small community where everyone knows each other, and it's really nice. It's not, we're all competitors in some way, but it's the saying, I can't remember it. I'm probably going to butcher here, but it's when the tide raises, all the boats go up as well.
High tide raises all boats.
Something like
so
that.
It's really good to pull each other up and support each other as well.
Yeah.
One of the things we're obviously going to hear, and I think we've got a very memorable Railroad Hobby show, one that we won't soon forget with the weather challenges, and everybody's going to have their own travel story. What's the Alex travel story getting back home?
Oh, I will say we have a travel story getting out, but to save us from being here for another 20 minutes, I will say on the way out, we encountered some truck issues. And so we were switching drivers because it's an 18-hour drive, and we were splitting it up over 2 days. So the first day we're going from Iowa to Pennsylvania to Massachusetts. And on the first night from Iowa to Pennsylvania, when we were switching drivers, something happened with the truck, and we broke down. And, to save a lot of time, like I said, we stayed overnight in Ohio. And then the next day, it turned out a wire was loose, which, of course, one wire causes the whole truck to shut down.
Right.
And so, yeah, we make it out there. But on the way back, we stayed an extra day because of the snow, like many other people did. We were lucky that our Airbnb was, willing to let us do that. But on the way back, we just drove all the way back one day, 18 hours, one trip. We left around maybe 8 or 9 o'clock. We had breakfast in West Springfield at a place across the street from the Big E, which is and then we just powered through the night, got home at 3:30 in the morning, and we just took our essentials inside and just crashed in the bed.
I bet. Exhausting weekend as it is normally, and then add the snow and all the other challenges, but great to see you out at the Railroad Hobby Show, and hope to have you back for next year and seeing you there yet again. And I think we deserve 50-degree weather for next year, so we'll have to talk to John Sacerdoti and get that ordered up.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we certainly having a lot warmer weather out there, so we can have a full 2 days of show.
Awesome stuff. So what's next for ABR Model Works?
Well, next we're spending a lot of time doing product development. I did a soft announcement that our Slim's Warehouse kit is coming back. We were hoping to have it back for Amherst, but timing really didn't work out for us. So we're hoping to have it back out in the next couple of months. We're really finishing up and refining production at the moment. Our next planned show for right now isn't until the National N Scale Convention in Milwaukee in June. Although I'm looking at another local show sometime in March. But at the N Scale Convention, we'll be announcing a whole slew of N Scale items. So N Scalers, be on the lookout for that. And then after that, you can see our show schedule online at ABR Model Works under the tab. I believe it is upcoming shows. Yes. So that is, you can keep track of where we're going to be. And also we have the ABR newsletter where you can keep track of new announcements, product developments, whatnot. And then also we will be running a sale here to kind of make up for the Sunday that we missed. I'm running a separate sale on ABR Model Works, but for ATLP listeners, I'm going to offer you guys 15% off. It'll use code ATLP15, and depending on when this comes out, it'll probably be running for a week after this episode comes out. So use code ATLP15 for 15% off your order.
Awesome. And we'll share all the details for that deal on our website, aroundthelayout.com/213, including the links to get to ABR Model Works. But for those listening, tell us how we get to your website.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. Just go to abrmodelworks.com. It'll take you right to the homepage where you can see all of our product collections, our building kits, our 3D printed box details, as well as the individual parts. And then you can view all of our latest announcements that we made at the Amherst show or any other show right on the front page, right under latest announcements.
Awesome stuff. Well, Alex, it was great seeing you at the Railroad Hobby Show. Sorry we didn't get a chance to do this in person, but glad we were able to catch up now where it's a little warmer. Our feet are feeling a little better. We've got a little bit of rest, and then we're not worrying about snow piling up outside. So great to see you again. I can't wait to see you down the road.
Yeah, thank you, Ray. Thank you again.
Well, here's a guy I saw plenty of in and out of the show, but never got a microphone in front of him. So we're back in our studios, one here in Connecticut and the other in Illinois, and recovering from the Railroad Hobby Show and all the craziness that went on with it is Kevin Tully from Tully Models. Good to see you again, Kevin.
Yeah, good to see you, Ray. Yeah, it was a madhouse on Saturday, and then Sunday, I don't know how to describe Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. I keep saying this term. I'll say it one more time, at least. It went from train show on Saturday to kind of trade show on Sunday. It was just vendors. And, we did have some people on Sunday morning, some of the diehards and maybe some locals or people just before they got out of Dodge and kind of stopped by the train show and got a little bit more. But I'd say by 10 o'clock, I think it was starting to look more like the ghost town.
It was winding down a lot. And, I questioned the people that were packing up Sunday morning because I'm like, you can't go anywhere. The highways in Pennsylvania are closed to anything with a trailer, at least. I don't know why anyone would go up over the Berkshires into New York in any kind of car. Because when we left Monday morning, it had stopped snowing, and the highways were open, but I'll tell you what, it was, I'm glad I'm from the mountains in Western New York because the Berkshires were a thrill ride, getting over the mountains, down into central New York.
Your youth prepared you for that moment of being able to climb the mountains and get out of Western Massachusetts and into New York. And yeah, it was a challenge. And I came out of the Railroad Hobby Show on Sunday night, and I thought I was going to be a warrior and be able to make it home. And I made it in an hour between West Springfield and Windsor. And I was like, I'm done. Like, this is like normally about 20 minutes and it took me over an hour, and it was drivable. But after a weekend where you're on your feet and you're talking to so many people and you stay busy, it's pretty exhausting, isn't it? And then try to drive through snow. It's a big challenge.
It is. It's definitely a drain. I don't think the public, I'm not sure how much they get that, but as a person that's behind the other side of the tables, you end up talking to 400 or 500 people a day.
Yeah.
And, you want to be respectful. So you get up out of your chair when someone approaches the booth to speak with them. And it's a lot,
Well, Sunday was a little odd, but Saturday definitely was jamming. Talk about the experience you had then.
Saturday was an awesome day. I was really glad to hear John Sacerdoti, I believe it was him, come over the PA and say that they were going to open the show early because it was cold out. The wind was whipping and it was very cold outside. And I thought that was a good thing because you don't want people outside getting a cold injury. And then it was... It kept reminding me of like a movie where they're opening the gates of a new amusement park, and the people are outside, in a big line, and they just like stream into the park. It reminded me a little bit of that, but it was a madhouse for sure. I think everyone had the same idea that Sunday was going to be crammed into Saturday, so the business you would normally do on Saturday and Sunday you would all do in one day, and I'm fairly certain that actually happened for most people.
Well, I know one of the things that you like to do at train shows, and especially the Railroad Hobby Show, is talk about new announcements. Talk about what was new from Tully Models.
So we had our aggregate loader that we launched not long ago that was new there. We had we're celebrating our 10th anniversary. So that's the royal we. I'm celebrating my 10th anniversary. So I have a load that I've actually had done for a long time, and it's very laborious to take it out of the print supports and get it into a box. And I felt like I wanted to be able to. I made the decision with the hydrogen pressure vessel load that I was going to start transitioning all my loads over to everything's in the box kits because of what we've talked about in the past. You get home and you've got a new freight car load and you sit down and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I need lumber for this too, or I need, chart pack tape or whatever. And so I decided that would be the first of those to become everything's in the box kit. And then we had two more of our kits, our Westinghouse stator load and our Foster Wheeler D-type boilers are everything in the box kits now. So they have a loading diagram and they have all the lumbers in there. And if, you need cable or eyelets or whatever, it's all in the boxes. I had the Ging Elevator Company #2 elevator kits with me and the New Hartford, Iowa elevator kits. Those were launched last summer, but they were new to this show this year. A lot of material handling things. We had lots of conveyor accessories. There were some new storage tanks as well. I brought the new fiberglass storage tank farms and the stainless steel tank storage tank farms with me that guys can use for liquid fertilizer or chemicals, or there's all kinds of things that are stored in those. So it was just a lot of material handling and chemical storage, and then the freight car loads were really big this year. And those new elevator kits, I sold several of those to guys that had said they were anticipating getting it. But I get it. It's kind of a bigger box, so they want to pick it up at a show.
When you get in front of the customers, you start to get ideas where there are plenty of ideas going back with you to Illinois.
Oh, tons and heaps. I had guys asking me for something specific, and they were showing me photographs. And of course, I don't mind doing the custom things, but it's always handy if something could be a saleable item too. And typically when that happens and a guy gives me a good product that I know is probably going to be a good seller, and he's done the research essentially for me, I'll draw that up, and I actually will just give one to the person that gives me the idea because I think it's only right to do so.
Yeah, it's like having a whole bunch of agents out there, right? And they're helping you spot things and bring information in, and then provide the data that you need, the information you need to be able to create these awesome products.
Well, it is very nice, and I think I've talked to some other cottage industry, so to speak, types like myself. They kind of have the same thing, whatever their genre is that they're producing a product in. They have guys that'll come up to them at a show and go, "Hey, this is a really good thing. I'd love to have one," or "I think this would be a good seller for you." And it is. There's millions and millions of items out there, and no matter how knowledgeable you are, you can't be the guy that knows everything. So it's very helpful to have that customer base that will come up to you and say, "Hey, I think this would be a really good idea. It's near my house. I can go measure it for you," or "I've got photographs that my dad took," or something like that. And it's incredibly helpful.
Now that we have the Railroad Hobby Show in our rearview mirror, kind of sad to think that, but we're only 360 some odd days away from the next Railroad Hobby Show. But what's next for Tully Models?
We will be at the O-Scale March Meet here in Oak Brook, near Chicago, next month. I believe that's the third weekend of the month. And then I've already been talking with Lonnie Bathurst about what we're going to do at the St. Louis RPM that's coming up towards the end of July there. And I got to speak with Michelle Kempema, confirming that we will, in fact, be at the Colorado Rail Prototype Modelers Meet in October. I believe it's the second weekend of October this year. And she told me that from then on, it will always be the first weekend of October.
Yeah, great RPMs coming up. You got the O-Scale event. So if somebody listening wasn't able to make it out to the Railroad Hobby Show, where else can they see and find out more about Tully Models?
You can go to www.tullymodels.com. That's TULLY, or you can also just Google search Industrial Modeler Supply or Southern Tier Grain Modeler Supply. All of those things will point you right at my website. And again, that's Tully, TULLY. There's no E.
Excellent. We'll provide a link in our show notes, aroundthelayout.com/213. Kevin, great to hang out with you. We had breakfast, we had dinner. We didn't have lunch, so I guess we missed one meal, but that we had a lot of fun hanging out at the Railroad Hobby Show together, and looking forward to our next time together, which could very well be the St. Louis RPM. But until then, we'll be talking.
All right. Have a good evening, Ray.
Joining me from the Lone Star State, where it's slightly warmer than it was about a week ago at the Railroad Hobby Show, is Chuck Stansel from Logic Rail Tech. Good to see you, Chuck.
Good to see you, Ray. And I'll add to that, there's about 17 less inches of snow here.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, 17 less inches of snow and warmer. And I'm glad that you made it back. I know that one of the things was the travel challenges, and we've heard so many stories. 2026 Railroad Hobby Show is going to be one we won't forget for a long time.
Not at all. Definitely memorable in many ways, and travel certainly being one of them.
So you made your way up here to the Railroad Hobby Show. I know you're always working on new projects. What was the big thing that you brought to the Railroad Hobby Show this time around?
Well, I didn't bring anything new. So I guess I would call it, same old stuff. In air quotes, but that said, I brought a good assortment of pretty much everything that I offer, and frankly did quite well. Despite the weather event that was on Sunday, Saturday was actually a bit of a slow start. So first of all, I got moved this year into the Better Living Center at my request. To be moved out of the Stroh building. Last year was my first year, and I was in the Stroh building, which is all well and good. I just didn't feel like I had maybe the potential for traffic there as in other buildings. So John moved me into the Better Living Center, albeit not too far from the doors. So if I'm in the same spot next year, I'll definitely dress a little bit warmer. But that said, yes, kind of a slow start, but then it really picked up around lunchtime and the rest of the Saturday afternoon. and I actually had increased sales year over year for Saturday last year. And then Sunday is, as I think everybody in the Mile Railroad community knows, we got hit with the snowstorm, uh, and so my expectations were extremely low, and I actually had really good sales and better again than Sunday of last year, where we didn't have a weather event. I couldn't quite tell. I suspect that maybe Sunday sales were more sort of the folks at the show, like myself, kind of captive audience. It's like, I paid to be here. I'm certainly not getting out on an airplane anytime soon, so I'm going to stay at the show. Why not? And I'm sure there are a lot of other folks like that. So, yeah, belaboring the point, but overall, net positive for me with respect to sales, and I really can't complain.
Yeah, Sunday we transferred over really from train show to trade show, and we were able to see each other as vendors and exhibitors and hang out and have conversations. How were you able to take advantage of that?
Not as much as I'd like to be, to be quite blunt or candid. I would have liked to have gotten around to the other buildings. I did get to do that really Friday, before things opened up. Walked around with David Hyde and his pilot friend Brandon. And we were kind of checking things out as people were setting up. And I know a lot of sales happen on Friday too before the show officially opens anyway. But on the weekend, I just, being a lone wolf, really didn't have the opportunity. I had to get a little bit of help from Chris Atkins, who'd watch my table for a few minutes here and there. But I don't expect him to make sales and handle transactions and answer a lot of questions about the product. So I didn't venture off too far. Pretty much stayed in the Better Living Center. Of course, Sunday I wasn't going to venture outside the BLC, until I absolutely had to at the end of the day. But yeah, so that's maybe one downside of being there pretty much on your own. Is you're kind of limited in how much you can really kind of get around. But I did a little bit of socializing, with other vendors, other friends that are in the business.
Yeah, that was a challenge. I had hoped to spend more time getting around the show on Sunday. I knew the weather was coming in. I said, that'll be a great time. But the trek between the buildings was very challenging and very quickly, because I had come over, I don't know, sometime around 7:30, 8 o'clock. I came out of the Young building, walked across to the Better Living Center, and it was cloudy. Mm-hmm. And then I did the live video with Rapido, and then I heard somebody say, "Boy, it's coming down out there." And I looked out, and it was like a snow globe, right? It was crazy. And then it just accumulated so fast, and then it just made it such a challenge to even get between buildings, that. And in the Mallory building just seems so far away. They could have moved it like 20 miles away. That's how it felt as you were walking through the snow blowing in your face and tromping through the snow. So yeah, unfortunately on Sunday, I don't think I got around nearly as much as I wanted to. And I'm sure it was a challenge for you. Mm-hmm. But let's go back to Saturday and a little bit nicer weather and all of that. What was the hot topic that was at your booth during the rush that was happening on Saturday?
Really, it kind of boils down to two things. Really, I would say my two most popular products. My grade crossing controller. That's the Grade Crossing Pro 2, and I've got that demonstrated on two effectively T-track modules that get sandwiched together to make a 4-foot long little module. So that people can see that in action, and I talk about it and explain it when people have questions and so forth. And had good sales on that and related things to that, because I do carry other manufacturers crossing signals, crossing gates, et cetera. Try to be kind of a one-stop shopping when it comes to a total grade crossing solution. And then the other one is my kind of my pet product, the Light Effects 16. And I've got that little diorama with a whole bunch of effects, firing off on that for that product. And that always gets a lot of attention. People are like, wait, did that little figure just like take a picture? Did I see a flash? Yeah, that's it. And that's a burn barrel over there. And that bar light just came on. That's kind of interesting. So that always kind of leads to some interesting conversations with customers and sales. Sales were good on that product, so I really can't complain. And sold few other things here and there, but those are the two, kind of the two main products that I tend to sell the most at shows.
One of the neat things I find about the Railroad Hobby Show and even our community in general, and it all ties together, is the camaraderie, and even camaraderie between manufacturers. And I'll tell you, I spied an event where the folks over from Iowa Scaled Engineering were even at your booth and you were having conversations. And I think that's just so cool that although you do have some similar products and you compete in some markets, that the railroad part of it, the model railroading part of it, really still keeps you together, and the conversation still exists in that way where it's friendly rivalry, it's friendly business, it's not cutthroat, and it's certainly not a fist fight. Although you could have went out and had a snowball fight. Well, the snow wouldn't pack for snowball, so I guess you couldn't really do that.
It wasn't wet enough for that.
But it really is friends. That's really cool to see.
It is, and it's interesting you picked up on those guys, because I do consider Michael and Nathan, and Scott, of course, was absent at this show, but I consider those guys friends, and I think they hopefully feel kind of the same way about me. In fact, on my new modules I talked about, I've got these two T-track modules kind of slapped together, and I don't want to sit there running locomotives back and forth, so I've got their Motorman product. I've got two of them. We did a little bit of horse trading, so they got a couple of my LCC products, the fast clock and the light effects board, and I got a couple of Motormans in return. And those are great products. People say, "Oh, do you sell that?" No, but they're right over in section blah blah blah. And I know they were sending folks my way. Again, although they kind of compete with me with respect to the grade crossing, they'll readily admit their current solution is, not as advanced isn't the right word, feature rich maybe, I'll call it, as mine currently is, and I'm sure they're working on something more advanced, but they send people my way, and so I appreciate that. But yeah, no, those are good guys, those are good friends. We haven't, I wouldn't say we really collaborate on anything, but I think we really have a good, healthy relationship, and yeah, there's no backstabbing or anything like that going on.
Yeah, the ability to coexist, right? The ability to, take care of the modeler. And when the ultimate goal is to make sure that the modeler is taken care of and they're getting what they're looking for, the amazing things like that happen in our industry. So, yeah, so it was an interesting Railroad Hobby Show. Again, one we won't soon forget, with the weather and the challenges and the travel challenges. Glad that you were able to make it back to Texas, where it's slightly warmer, and you're able to get back to creating some awesome stuff. What's next for Logic Rail Technologies?
Well, I'll answer it kind of two parts. The first one, as far as next shows, I will be going to the St. Louis RPM in July, and then the following weekend is the NMRA convention. The following week is the NMRA convention, and then the following weekend is NMRA train show, National Train Show in Chattanooga. So I'll be hitting both of those. That'll be a driving trip, so I won't have to deal with airlines and shipping things and so forth. So I'm looking forward to that. Need to get back on my own layout in the meantime, but I do have a product in development. I actually kind of talked about it a little bit at St. Louis last year, as well as the week prior at Novi at the NMRA convention. And that's another LCC product known as the Scene Lighter. So whereas the Light Effect 16 is all about on layout lighting, the Scene Lighter is going to be about above layout lighting. So looking to support strip lighting and DMX lights and things like that.
Awesome stuff. And love to see the new technology coming from Logic Rail Technologies. Tell us where we can find you.
It's pretty simple. It's logicrailtech.com.
Awesome stuff. And we will share that in our show notes around the layout.com/213. Chuck, great seeing you, and looking forward to seeing you in St. Louis. Guaranteed no snow in Collinsville, Illinois.
Shouldn't have any at all. Great to see you and talk to you, Ray.
Well, thank you to Jordan Smith of Rapido Trains, Mike and Jeff Zucker from Spring Creek Model Trains, Chris at Wallace Locomotive Works, Alex Hoffner at ABR Model Works, Kevin at Tully Models, and Chuck from Logic Rail Technologies for joining me to recap the 2026 Railroad Hobby Show. I want to take a moment and thank everyone who paid a visit to the Around the Layout podcast booth to say hello and share their feedback. We also want to thank those who participated in ATLP Passport, making it a very successful promotion. Thank you to my booth neighbors, MacRail Products and Home Shops, for their support throughout the weekend. They were a huge help, especially on Sunday as we packed up in the snow. I want to especially thank my wife Katrina and daughter Natalie for their work on Saturday at the booth. They both did an awesome job entertaining visitors, handing out stickers, and processing completed ATLP passports. If you enjoyed this podcast, do me a favor and tell your friends about it. Farewell to the 2026 Railroad Hobby Show, and here's to a warmer and drier 2027 event. It's only about 350 days away. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Around the Layout. Learn more about today's episode, check out past shows, and much more on our website, aroundthelayout.com. Show your support by becoming an operating crew member at aroundthelayout.com/crew. Follow us on social media, aroundthelayout.com/social. And send us your feedback, aroundthelayout@gmail.com. Thanks for hanging out with us around the layout.